Deconverted man here, thinking about things, thinking about this notion of God. Because I was trying to find a video to talk about, a video to respond to. Couldn't find really anything, so I was like, how do you reach the believer that believes in God and try to not to deconvert them necessarily? That might happen. Who knows? I don't know. But to get them to at least ask questions, because it seems like certain people have never confronted these questions, and that their thinking is rather shallow. Now, maybe that's not the case. Maybe they have thought deeply. I don't know. But you say, okay, let's examine God. The first question is, what is God? What is it? What is it? What do you mean by that word? What attributes must a thing have to be called God? So if I created a single grain of sand, am I God? Well, how does it matter how I created it? I created it from materials that existed already. So it's like, well, that doesn't count. You have to create it just by sheer force of will. But no, because there's a mechanism within the universe that we have. There's certain fundamental principles of how things work. So for me to be able to make another world or another universe or even something really small like a particle, I have to have a lot of energy to do that work, and probably some sort of machine to harness that energy. I can't just do it on my own, so to speak. I'm going to need more than just myself. So if we focus the power of technology and the understanding of physics and the universe that we have, could we create another uh, planet? Well, maybe we could seed one. Has to be in the right conditions. Could we make those conditions? Well, maybe. You have to you have to be in the right sort of place in space. So you can't do it on Earth. So you have all these limitations. But if you imagine that you somehow get past all those barriers and you're able to make something from what's already around, because you're stuck with that, you can't make something just because you want to. Are you then a god? Or they say no, no, that's not what a god is. A god has to make a universe separate from this universe. Okay, so we figure somehow, we use black holes and wormholes and whatever other things we need to do, and so we create another place that isn't the place that we're on or we're at, and that's basically we've made another dimension or something. We've made another plane of being, of existence, where things can fit, a pocket universe, if you will. Then we're God, right? Well, no, because we still had to use technology, so then that doesn't count. So what counts as being God? Well, the religious seem to already have this figured out. Supposedly, they have their answer for what God is, and that's decided for them by their religion. So whatever you grew up believing or being told or taught, now maybe some people come to religion later in life, so it doesn't always apply, but broadly speaking, many people come to religion from being indoctrinated into it uh, from their family or friends. Some people come to it later as an adult, but the zeitgeist of the world is accepting of this belief, God. It is not shunned. It is not made fun of. Not really. I mean, some people make fun of it, but it's not widely mocked. Although there is a benefit to believing in things that are widely mocked. There's a certain sort of feeling that you get by being part of a small crowd of people that believe in something that everyone else thinks is nonsense, like Bigfoot or Loch Ness or UFOs that are alien visitors, or the gray aliens, the flat earthers. There's this intrinsic feeling that you've caught on, and this can happen with anything. I have an example of a weird belief that came my way. Um, this this person called Derp. So I'll show you this because, well, let's see if I can get it up where it will show just the comment, nothing else on my screen, or nothing else that whatever. Just to have this example of a belief. Um, so okay, let's see. Okay. So this was under Noel Plum's video, and all these comments, and so they said that the Rockefellers are trying to keep people dumb, and it's this vast conspiracy that they had power over all these people. And I said, you got to prove that. And they just said, just did. Are you able to type? It's not the fucking rocket science that the Rockefellers funded the Fluxor report and have donated 180 million to academia. Okay. And so how does that prove that they have some sort of conspiratorial, sinister desire to make people dumb? And so they have this belief. So they say, 15 years ago, I was you, unable to admit reality. Admittedly, I was more psychologically comfortable. Admitting uncomfortable truths can be life-altering. Why would they lie to us? Who is lying to you? So that's the sort of non-skeptical thinking, non-critical thinking that people can get into, because they're looking for a simple answer to a complicated question. And the complicated question might be, in this case, of why is academia all screwed up, broadly speaking? I mean, not all aspects are screwed up, but some aspects are. Some aspects you could say are utterly useless. Well, there's an easy solution. It's all a conspiracy. That's an easy answer. And so when you're looking at a complex question, how is the universe here? Easy answer, a wizard did it, or, well, God did it. The two are equivalent. Magic is as much an explanation as God is. And people that believe in God don't like that, of course. They'll reject that. They'll object to that. And yeah, well, of course. The more you start to question God, you say, well, what attributes must a thing have before you call it a God? Well, and then they start listing these attributes and go, okay, well, where did you get this list of attributes? If they were honest, they would say from their religion or from their holy book, from their or they might have just come up with it on their own. They might just, it's just, I came up with it. That's an honest idea. An honest answer at any rate. Uh, do you go, well, okay, what is God made out of? Now, here the religious get stumped because their holy book doesn't tell the answer to that, or at least most of them don't. So they'll say God is made out of a spirit or a soul, and of course you say, well, what's that made out of? And they'll, well, it's not made of anything. What do you? Okay, so it doesn't exist. It's not made. If it's not made of anything, then it isn't a thing. It's like, well, it's made out of supernatural stuff. Well, what's that? It's not natural stuff. But what does that mean? How does that work? We don't know. It's a mystery. Okay, so ultimately, it is a mystery then. That you're okay with that mystery, but you're not okay with the mystery of how the universe came to be, as long as it happens to be that the answer is your God that contains other mysteries that you're now fine with. Weird. Why? Well, because there's so much that that idea provides. The idea provides other ideas that then are additional attributes that they add on to God. So you must believe that there is a supernatural realm. You must then believe that that in that supernatural realm, the way that everything works here, whatever that is, it works a different way there. It's like the antimatter universe. Everything is backwards. Like, it's not made of anything, and that makes sense. Okay, it's just, it doesn't exist at a start and an end. It always exists, and that makes sense. And it has all this power. Where does the power come from? Just, it has it. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, it's just it can will things into existence. How does that work? It just thinks them into being. It just wishes them into existence. So it's no more of, it's not even an effort. It's like you can say, okay, breathing takes some amount of effort, and I'm barely aware of it now that I'm talking about it. Now I'm a little bit aware of it, but uh, it's even less effort than that. So it's like it wants something, and that something is poof, ping. And what's weird, of course, about the Judeo-Christian God is it takes a day to make the entire universe, but then it spends several more days on Earth. Like, wow, and a whole day on humans. Like you made all this other stuff really quick, but takes you that long to make this. It doesn't really make sense. And why did it take any time at all? Because you're timeless, so there isn't time. So it's like supposed to be amazing, but it's not. It can't be amazing because it's zero effort. Thanos at least had to snap for something to happen. This thing doesn't even have to snap. It just wants it, and it happens. So what is it? How does that work? There's no answer to that. The more questions you ask about that concept, the more you begin to unravel what they're trying to make is a solution to the conundrum of existence. And science takes a whole different track than religion does. Religion has made up its mind. Religion has decided what the answer is in advance. Here's the answer in this sacred document. That's the answer. There you go. Well, what about, you're not allowed to ask any more questions. Just read this book. It's all in there. That's it. And then we're going to debate about how to understand the book, of course, because the book doesn't clarify how to understand the book because it's not well written, because humans made it. And they didn't do a very decent job. I mean, it's not that hard to make a better Bible, and then some people do that. They try to form cults. You've probably seen that person with the blue hair running around. I've been to heaven. I've died 100 times. She's just lying, completely lying out her, rear end, with her mouth, but she's lying, and people believe her. Why? Well, because I don't know, because she's weird and charismatic, and then there's this guy. People pay a lot of money apparently to go watch this guy. He stands on the stage and he just cries, and people pay for that. And then there's another one where a guy stands up on the stage and does absolutely nothing at all. He just stands there, and people like, wow, yes, I get something out of this. It's so amazing. Oh, they have these spiritual experiences. Like, what the bleep are you going? What? And they go, well, what's wrong with that? I got something out of it. I felt stuff. Like, yeah, okay. You go to a museum. Maybe you stare at a piece of art. Maybe you have that sort of experience. I don't know. But we humans, broadly speaking, we seek this sort of feeling that people call the spiritual experience or mystical experience, and you can get that in all sorts of ways. This feeling, I've had it many times. I've found ways to self-generate aspects of it, if not the full of it. I've had where I went to a concert and it was like, I know the music, but I don't know the music that well. It was interesting, and I just was thinking a lot. Like, I just was like supercharged with ideas, and it was like really crazy. I was like, wow, this is weird. Like, shouldn't I just be listening to music? But I was just generating all these ideas. I was like, okay, this is the experience that I'm having. Okay. But what some people do is then they say, well, there's more to it than that. That they want to explain this natural experience that they're having with language of the religion. They want to call it spiritual rather than just, I don't know, just having an experience. They want to add different words to it. And words like God, which come with so much baggage. Do you believe in God? What do you even mean? What? I don't know. What is that? What do you mean? What do you think God is? I don't know. You have to tell me what you think God is first, then I can answer the question if I believe in that or not. The Judeo-Christian God. No, I don't believe in it. Not only do I not believe in it, it can't exist. Oh, that's a claim. Yeah. How dare you say that? Well, it's simple. The God is claimed to be certain things, but then you see that those certain things don't actually pan out. So then that God can't exist. So you said, Bob's a nice guy. And we understand what nice guy means. And you go, Bob killed his wife. Okay, Bob's not that much of a nice guy anymore. He can't continue to be a nice guy. Bob's now a murderer. Well, but Bob, he went to jail and he repented and he feels really bad. He's been a nice guy ever since he's been in jail. I don't know. He still did the bad thing, so he wasn't that nice of a guy. You didn't know Bob's wife. Yeah. If we'd known Bob's wife, we would understand. He actually was a good guy. But you're told you're told things about God, but the God that you read about is not the God that you're told about, and so that complete disconnect already should tell you that there's something wrong there. Are you saying God must be a logical being, perfectly logical, right? Now humans, we're not perfectly logical. Hell, we're barely logical, let alone perfectly. Most of the time we're feeling, not logical. It's hard to do logic. It takes effort and energy and thought, and you also kind of have to understand some logic to do logic. So that's a whole thing. And yeah. Okay, fine. What 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 is this thing of God, right? They're coming and they're saying, "Here's proof of God." It's like, no, that's not proof of God. Here's proof of no, that's not proof of God. Proof of God would be God. You don't have that. Well, but if we had proof of God, well, then you wouldn't have to believe in it. Yeah, I know. I would just know that it's there. Isn't that amazing? Well, then God doesn't want to force itself on you. Oh, yes, it does. Okay, going back to God is logical. That's right. Thank you. Lost my train of thought. I was thinking my own brain. I was like, thank you, brain. Kicked in back to where I was. So the God of the Bible, Judeo-Christian God, is it a perfectly logical being? If the answer is yes, it cannot do logical fallacies. Can't. Period. It can't do them. And then it proceeds to set up a system where it utilizes at least one, if not more, logical fallacies. There's two of them. One is an ad ballum, and the other one's an appeal to a bribe. Now, maybe you don't believe in hell. If you don't believe in hell, then there isn't the ad ballum, but then there's still the appeal to a bribe. And people try to get out of this. They go, well, no, it's like you're in a ocean and you're swimming and you're drowning and you see a boat and you got to get in the boat to be saved. No, I don't. The people in the boat, if there's anyone else in the boat, could save me. They could drag me into the boat if there's people there. Now, if there's no people, it's just me and I see a boat and I'm on my own, then yeah, I have to be the one that does it or I drown. But that scenario is not at all comparable to what I'm talking about, because for it to be comparable, you're the one that set me into the ocean in the first place. You're the one that made it so that I would drown or start to drown in the first place. And then you're also the one offering me the boat, but you're also the one that says, well, you have to do a lot of things to get in that boat. I'm like, all right, what do I have to do? You have to tell me I'm awesome. You're awesome. Now I'm saying that not because I think that they're awesome, but because I want to get in that boat. I want you to love me, but I don't want to force you to love me. But if you don't love me, you can't get in that boat. Well, I guess I have to love you then. And then it is force. It is coercion. It is your uh forcing me to I can't say the damn word. Coerce. It's two horses. It's a horse that wants to do a company. I don't know. So it is a force. You are forcing me to do this thing to get the reward of staying alive, which isn't really even, I mean, that's a reward, I guess. So it's not comparable. Okay. All right. Different scenario. Okay. It's like a burning building, and no, because here's again, you set the building on fire and trapped me in the building, and you're the one rescuing me. But the problem is, I have to choose to go with you, right? Yeah, right. Okay. Why do I have to choose to go with you? Why not just grab me and take me with you? Well, because that negates free. Hell with my free will. Save me from the fire. Maybe I've lost my mind because of the fire. These things aren't comparable to the sort of God that's in the Bible. It set up the system to where you must do X, Y, and Z to get the thing where you're not, where's the good, quote unquote, good reward to avoid the terrible punishment. It's an appeal to bribe, it's an appeal to threat. It is not a logical argumentation. It is not logical system that it set up ultimately. And there isn't free will in that system. Free will is an illusion in that system because you can't reject it freely without experiencing the negative thing. That's not true free will then. A free will choice would be that no matter what I choose, then the outcome is not is the same. Like that choice doesn't, it makes a difference to some degree, but it doesn't. But where I wind up isn't based on that choice. Then it's not freely choosing. It's like if you go left, it will take 1 minute to get home. Also, if you go right, it also takes a minute to go home. They're both equal. You do have a choice. It's a free choice. You go left, you see this one store. You go right, you see you see a house instead. So you see different things, you experience different things. The time it takes is the same. That's a free choice. This is you die if you go down this way. You live if you go down that way. That's not longer a free choice because you, broadly speaking, probably want to live. This is do what I want you to do, or else I will do horrible things to you. I will torture you, or have you be tortured, or let you be tortured. But if you do these things I want you to do, I'll give you this $1,000. Of course, you're going to do what I want you to do, not because of logic, but because you're compelled to. You're forced into it. So your freedom isn't really there. That's what makes it a logical fallacy. So you're telling me that the entity is a logically coherent being that then does logical fallacies. That being can no longer exist because it's paradoxical. It can't do both. So it's not a logically coherent being. And if it has to be a logical coherent being for it to exist, since it isn't, then it can't exist. End of story. And I'm sure the apologists, and they do, they try to come up with all sorts of ways to get around that. Because the God that they have proposed is not God. It is a construct of God that humans came up with. We could do better. So we can make a better God that we came up with. We can imagine a better God. The problem is, of course, if you imbue God with any powers and kindness, then that God instantly becomes falsified because you look around and go, well, nothing's improved, nothing has changed. Maybe that's what prayer is. Prayer is an attempt to beg the universe to alter for your benefit or for humanity's benefit. I would pray for world peace. I would try to pray selflessly. I would try to pray for things that wouldn't, quote, benefit me, end quote. Like pray for those other people, like give them my reward. I don't want my reward. I want them to have it, or whatever. Because I was trying to be selfless. It's like, no, and I'm not doing this to get the big reward either. By the way, no, I don't want that. And I'm really trying to not want it. Also, I'm being sincere. But you don't get the thing that you pray for unless you actually go out and work for it. That's interesting, isn't it? I've known people in church stand up and say, I've been looking for work for 10 years. Finally got a job. Thank God. Wow, God sure took its sweet time. My word. How the hell you were looking for work for 10 years and you haven't gotten work for that long? I don't know how that's possible, but okay. And then you finally got a job, and it's not because you were looking for a job. It's God decided to give you that job. Yeah, sure. Well, without a God, then there's no afterlife. Oh no. Don't want that. Yeah. I don't know. There could be an afterlife without a God. Somebody I care about very much said something I've heard many, many times. So it was harder to hear it from them because I really care about them than it was to hear it from people online who I may or may not care about. I'd rather believe and be wrong than not believe and be wrong. And I'm like, well, I'd rather not believe and be surprised. Because if there, look, if there's something after this life, I'll be like, oh, okay. Didn't expect that. Cool. But this idea, it's kind of Pascal's idea in a way, but it's not about believing God. It's just about believing that there's an afterlife. Like, as if your belief has an impact upon reality as well, by the way. But if I believe there's an afterlife and I'm right, well, then good. But if I don't believe there's an afterlife and there is an afterlife, then that was bad. It's like, why? It only matters when you add in that you get rewarded for your belief in the afterlife. So it doesn't matter, because if you were wrong, well, then you just simply you learn that you were wrong and you adapt to the new reality, whatever the bleep that is. There's a trope in anime called Izakaya, where the protagonist usually gets killed off in this world and wakes up in a new world reborn. Sometimes they start life from scratch. Sometimes they start, as a young person. Sometimes they're same age or different sex or gender or whatever. It's just, you know, sometimes they get summoned there magically, so they weren't killed off. And it's just like, instead of that they were just are in this universe, that they're kind of a fish out of water coming to this universe, and so you get to learn what the universe is like from their perspective, which you could do if you just grew up alongside them as well, which, but the having the memories of this world trope, for whatever reason, is popular and is its own genre. The information about this world sometimes is very useful in that other world, and sometimes isn't useful at all because different rules apply. But whether they knew about this world or not, they still can succeed in that new world. So they don't need to know about this world at all. So if that's what the afterlife is like, or anything close to it, then nothing you do now could matter for then, as far as what knowledge you accumulate now you will have to accumulate there anyways, or you'll have to accumulate new knowledge. Either it will be completely useless to you, or it'll be very useful to you, but you could have learned it there anyways. So then what was the point? Like, you just save time learning it? So in the izakayas, usually they have another lifetime to live. You go, okay, well, what happens when you die there? Well, then you're really dead for real, and you stay dead that time, I guess. I don't know. It's not really clear. Some of them it's clear, some of it's not. Depends on the izakai. But in this afterlife, you never expire. You keep on existing. So in that case, everything that you could ever learn, you could learn in the afterlife. Unless you don't have access to that in that state of being. And goodness knows what that's going to be like, or if it is even a thing, and there's no reason to think it is a thing. So I'll be surprised if there is. It'd be nice, but you know what? This world's awfully mundane, and I don't give it much probability that I'll get to go to an awesome universe of my own creation, or my own dreams and desires upon death. And it frightens me, mortality, sometimes. Trying to think about not existing. Can't do it. Can't be done. I can reflect upon the times I was knocked out, but I really can't, because it's like one moment I was there, then the next moment I was somewhere else because I was knocked out for that time. What was it like during that time? I can't tell you because I wasn't there. So what's it going to be like to not be there? Well, I can't tell you that because I won't be there to tell you. That's kind of scary because I'm used to being here. And I don't want to not be here. Well, some days, yeah. And I want you to be here. I have a friend battling with a condition where they might die. Then it was like they're on the road to recovery. Now it's back again, and it's like, I don't want you to die. They don't want to die. It's like, what do we do about that? Nothing. Just that's the way it is. Okay, let's talk about something else then. Because we talked about death a little bit, and it was like, okay, we talked about it, and there's nothing we can do about it. All right, moving on. I don't want you to go. I don't want to go. Okay, well, next. All right. Let's enjoy the time we have, I guess. Because there's not much you can do. And so the belief fills in that existential dread with an infinite hope. But of course, it's just a belief. And we must challenge all beliefs, especially the ones we hold most dear, because we could be wrong. More than likely, we are wrong. And we'll learn something new. You might say, well, what's the point if in the end you're going to die and then you just don't exist, you're nothingness? So all the things you did and learned, what was the point of it? I don't know. The point was to do it, I guess. I don't know that there was a point. I don't know. Every now and again, you guys, gals, and robots should know by now I have a brother. I'll bring up every now and again. I'll mention. Some of you have even talked to him. And sometimes they'll ask me, what's the point of that game? And I'm like, build stuff. Why? So that you can get more stuff. What do you do with that? Build more stuff. Well, what's the point of it? That's the point of it. It is the thing. It's just you do. You're collecting things. Why are you collecting things? To build more things that you can then collect more things with. Then you can collect and then build and then more. And but what's the point? It's like to have fun. There is no point. It's just there. You're doing it. Why? Because I like it. I don't know. It's like that's kind of life, I guess. I don't know. Well, was any of this deep or thought provoking? I have no idea. Let me know in the comments below, because if you don't, then I won't know. If you don't know, and nobody will know, and things are things, and whatever. And all of you were, some of you were in chat, and all of you were in the thing, and I don't know. Hey, before I type the thing in chat, somebody better beat me to it. I'm about to type the thing and hit the button. There I go. Oh, I had a hiccup there. It gave you extra moments that you could type the thing. Come on. Nope. All right, fine. I'm gonna be. Yeah, I did it. I did it. I typed in Finn. You could have typed it in, but you didn't type in Finn in the comments below this video. If you love me, or if you don't love me, I don't know. Do whatever you want. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. I'm hitting the button. See you later.